I stared at the peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my lunchbox, my stomach churning with anxiety. At 13, I learned to check everything my mother packed, but today she caught me trying to throw the sandwich away. "Maya, eat your lunch," Mom had snapped, shoving the lunchbox back into my hands. "This nonsense about peanut allergies has gone on long enough. Your brother eats peanut butter every day, and he's fine." That was the story of my life. Everything was fine because my perfect older brother Marcus was fine. My allergies? Just attention-seeking, my EpiPen prescription, a waste of money that Mom had refused to fill. The medical alert bracelet from my pediatrician, lost mysteriously during laundry day. Now, sitting in the crowded school cafeteria, I pushed the sandwich aside and pulled out my phone, checking the time. 20 minutes until English class. I could make it without eating. "Hey, freak," my brother's voice boomed across the cafeteria. Marcus, a junior and star quarterback, sauntered over to my table with his usual smirk. "Mom told me about your latest drama this morning." I shrunk into my seat as his friends gathered around. Being Marcus's little sister meant never escaping his spotlight, never finding a quiet corner to hide. "You know what?" He grabbed my lunchbox. "Mom's right. Time to get over this allergy nonsense." My heart started racing. "Marcus, please. Open up, sis." He unwrapped the sandwich, his friends laughing as they formed a circle around us. "Just one bite. Prove you're not lying." "I'm not lying." I tried to stand, but someone pushed me back down. "I have a real allergy," the doctor said. "The doctor said what you wanted him to say," Marcus sneered. "Just like you want everyone to think you're special. Poor little Maya, so delicate and fragile." Mrs. Bennett, the lunch monitor, glanced our way but quickly looked elsewhere. Nobody ever stopped Marcus. He was the school's golden boy, and I was just his weird little sister who made up stories for attention. "One bite." Marcus held the sandwich near my face. "Or I'll tell Mom you threw it away again. Remember what happened last time?" I remembered. 2 weeks of being grounded, no phone, no computer. Making up stories to get attention shows a serious lack of gratitude. Dad had lectured. "Please," I whispered, feeling my throat tighten just from the smell. "Marcus, I'll get sick." "Drama queen," someone in the crowd called out. Marcus's grin widened. "Look, she's already pretending to have trouble breathing." But I wasn't pretending. The peanut butter was too close, and my chest was getting tight. I tried to push away from the table, but hands held me in place. "Just eat it." Marcus shoved the sandwich against my lips. In my panic, I gasped. A tiny piece went into my mouth. I spat it out immediately, but I could already feel it, the familiar, terrifying sensation of my throat beginning to close. "See, nothing happened," Marcus declared triumphantly. But something was happening. My lips were tingling, swelling. The cafeteria lights seemed too bright, the voices too loud. I fumbled for my phone, trying to call someone, anyone. "Oh, come on," Marcus rolled his eyes. "Stop pretending." "I can't," I wheezed, my vision blurring. "Need help." "Maya," a new voice cut through the chaos. Sophie Chen, my lab partner, pushed through the crowd. One look at my face, and she sprang into action. "She's having an allergic reaction," Sophie shouted. "Someone get the nurse." "She's faking," Marcus insisted, but his voice held a note of uncertainty now. Sophie ignored him, pulling something from her backpack, an EpiPen. "I carry a spare," she explained quickly. "Hold on, Maya." The last thing I heard before losing consciousness was Sophie yelling for someone to call 911, and Marcus saying, "Come on, she's just looking for attention." When I opened my eyes, I was in an ambulance. An oxygen mask covered my face, and paramedics were talking rapidly above me. Through the haze, I heard phrases like severe anaphylaxis and could have been fatal. Later, I learned that Sophie's quick action with her EpiPen had probably saved my life. I'd also learned that the entire incident had been captured on the cafeteria's security cameras, not just my reaction, but everything leading up to it. What nobody knew yet, not even me, was that those security tapes would reveal more than just today's incident. They would show a pattern that would shock even those who had ignored my pleas for years. Sometimes it takes nearly dying to make people see the truth, and my truth was about to come out in ways nobody in my family had expected. As I lay in the emergency room, listening to doctors discuss my condition, I had no idea that this wasn't just about allergies anymore. This was about to become a story of systematic medical neglect, of a brother's bullying gone too far, and of a family's denial that had nearly cost me my life. The school principal was already reviewing the tapes, and what she found would set in motion a chain of events that would change everything, not just for me, but for my entire family. Sometimes it takes a catastrophe to break through years of denial, and my catastrophe had just been caught on camera. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady beeping of monitors when Principal Davis arrived. My parents had been there earlier, Mom insisting it was just a panic attack, until the doctor showed her my blood test results and throat swelling photos. They'd left to handle things at home, which probably meant damage control. "Maya," Principal Davis said softly, pulling up a chair. "How are you feeling?" I touched my still swollen throat, grateful for the ice chips the nurse had provided. "Better." She nodded, placing a tablet on my bedside table. "We need to talk about what happened today." And she paused, her expression grave. "About what's been happening all year." My heart rate spiked, making the monitor beep faster. "The cafeteria incident made us review our security footage," she continued. "We found something disturbing. Multiple incidents, actually." She turned the tablet toward me. The screen showed clips from various days. Marcus throwing peanut M&Ms at my lunch table. His friends accidentally spilling peanut sauce near my food. My brother sneaking peanut butter into my drinks when I wasn't looking. "This wasn't the first time, was it?" she asked gently. Tears welled up in my eyes. "Nobody believed me," I whispered. "They said I was making it up." A new voice came from the doorway. "Well, we believe you now." Dr. Harrison, the hospital's child advocacy specialist, walked in with a social worker named Ms. Patel. "Your blood tests show repeated exposure to peanut allergens," Dr. Harrison explained, checking my chart. "Small amounts, building up over time. That's why today's reaction was so severe. Your body had been fighting this for months." Ms. Patel sat on the other side of my bed. "Maya, we've spoken with your lab partner, Sophie. She told us you've asked your parents for an EpiPen multiple times." I nodded, remembering all the dismissed prescriptions, the lost referrals to allergists, Mom's insistence that I was just jealous of Marcus's normal life. "Your pediatrician's office has records of 3 separate prescriptions for EpiPens," Ms. Patel continued. "None were ever filled. They also have documentation of your mother canceling 2 appointments with an allergy specialist." Principal Davis touched my hand. "The school was never notified of their allergy. We're required to have medical action plans for students with severe allergies. Your mother told us you were just a picky eater when we asked about your lunch concerns." The weight of it all, years of being dismissed, of being told I was dramatic or seeking attention, crashed over me. "Are they going to make me go home?" I asked, my voice trembling. "No, sweetheart," Dr. Harrison said firmly. "What your family has done is medical neglect, combined with the evidence of your brother's deliberate actions." She shook her head. "You're not going anywhere until we ensure your safety." As if on cue, we heard Marcus's loud voice in the hallway. "It was just a joke. She's fine, isn't she?" Principal Davis stood, her face stern. "Excuse me." She stepped out, closing the door behind her. Through the door, I heard snippets. Suspension. Criminal charges possible. Pattern of behavior. Criminal charges. My mother's voice now shrill with disbelief. "For what?" "She's attention-seeking, just like always." Ms. Patel pulled out some papers. "Maya, we need to discuss your options. Your aunt in Connecticut has already been contacted." Aunt Jenny. I hadn't seen Mom's younger sister in years, not since she tried to tell my parents something was wrong with how they treated me. "She's waiting for our call," Ms. Patel smiled. "She's already making arrangements." Just then, Sophie appeared in the doorway, clutching her backpack. Her eyes widened at all the adults, but Dr. Harrison waved her in. "I brought your homework," Sophie said, then added quickly, "and my mom made you some allergen-free cookies." I checked everything twice. For the first time since the cafeteria, I felt like crying for a good reason. Someone had actually thought about what was safe for me. "Thank you," I whispered. "For everything. The EpiPen." Sophie shrugged. "That's what friends do. They believe each other." The contrast between her simple acceptance and my family's years of denial hit hard. Outside, I could still hear Marcus protesting, Mom demanding to speak to supervisors, Dad talking about lawyers. But in this room with these people who believed me, who had proof of what I'd been saying all along, Their voices seemed less powerful. Dr. Harrison checked my vitals again. Your body's been through a lot, but you're going to be okay. Physically, at least. She glanced at the door. The rest? Well, that's what we're here to help with. Principal Davis returned, looking tired but determined. Your brother has been suspended pending further investigation. The school board is meeting tomorrow to discuss permanent measures. I should have felt scared or sad or something about my family falling apart. Instead, all I felt was relief. The truth was finally out, captured on camera, and confirmed by medical tests. No one could deny it anymore. Sometimes safety comes from unexpected places. A friend's spare EpiPen. A principal who actually looks at security footage, doctors who listen. As I lay there, surrounded by people working to protect me, I realized that this wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new one, where my truth finally mattered. 3 months later, I stood in Aunt Jenny's kitchen, carefully reading food labels with her as we prepared dinner. This had become our ritual, a sharp contrast to my old life where checking ingredients was dismissed as paranoia. How was the allergist appointment? She asked, placing safe ingredients in one pile and setting aside anything questionable. Good, I smiled, touching the medical alert bracelet I now wore proudly. Dr. Patel says my immune system is stabilizing since I'm not getting constant exposure anymore. The changes in my life since the cafeteria incident were dramatic but positive. Aunt Jenny had received emergency temporary custody after the hospital incident. Her home in Connecticut, with its strict attention to my medical needs and calm atmosphere, felt like breathing fresh air after years of suffocation. My new school had a comprehensive allergy protocol. The nurse kept my EpiPens, yes, multiple, in her office, and all my teachers were trained in anaphylaxis response. My condition was treated as what it was, a serious medical issue, not an inconvenience or bid for attention. The court case against my family was proceeding slowly. Marcus had been expelled from our old school after the security footage revealed the extent of his pranks. He was now attending a military academy, Dad's solution to his suddenly tarnished golden boy. My phone buzzed. A text from Sophie. We still kept in touch, and she'd become something of a crusader for allergy awareness at our old school. You'll never believe what happened, her message read. They're implementing mandatory allergy training for all staff and students. Your case changed everything. Aunt Jenny noticed my smile. Good news. They're making changes, I said, showing her the text. Maybe it'll help other kids like me. Speaking of help, she said carefully, your mom called again. My hand stilled on the carrot I was peeling. Since moving here, I'd received dozens of calls and messages from my mother. At first, they were angry and demanding. Later, they turned pleading. Now they were somewhere in between. They're in family therapy, Aunt Jenny continued. Your mom's therapist thinks it might be good for you to attend a session. When you're ready. The key words were when you're ready. Nobody here pushed me into anything, especially regarding my family. Maybe someday, I said. But not yet. Aunt Jenny nodded, understanding as always. No rush. By the way, your art teacher called. She wants to enter your latest piece in the state competition. My art had transformed since coming here. The piece she mentioned was a mixed media work titled Invisible Symptoms, a visual representation of living with a dismissed medical condition. It was raw and honest, nothing like the safe, pleasant paintings I'd done back home to avoid drawing attention. You know what's weird? I said, returning to my carrot peeling. I haven't had a single panic attack since moving here. Aunt Jenny understood the air quotes around panic attack. What my parents had dismissed as anxiety had actually been allergic reactions all along. Not so weird, she replied. Amazing how much better you feel when you're not being poisoned. That evening, as we sat down to our safely prepared dinner, my phone lit up with a text from Marcus. These were rare. He wasn't supposed to contact me without supervision, part of the court's requirements. I'm sorry, it read simply. I didn't understand what I was doing to you. I showed it to Aunt Jenny, who had become my sounding board for all things family-related. What do you think? I asked. She considered it carefully. I think genuine remorse is possible. I also think you get to decide what role, if any, he plays in your life going forward. That was the biggest change since the cafeteria incident, having the power to make my own choices, especially about my health and safety. My new allergist had explained that some allergy sufferers develop PTSD from severe reactions, particularly when they've been denied proper medical care. We were working through that in therapy, along with the years of gaslighting about my condition. But there were victories too. Last week, I'd successfully handled a potential exposure at school. Instead of freezing in panic or doubting myself, I calmly used my emergency action plan. My teachers had responded immediately, and the whole incident was handled without drama. Just appropriate medical attention for a legitimate condition. Looking at Marcus's text again, I typed out a response. I need time. Maybe one day we can talk about it with our therapist present. Aunt Jenny squeezed my shoulder proudly. Look at you, setting healthy boundaries. That night, adding to my journal, another tool my therapist recommended, I reflected on how much had changed. The scared girl from the cafeteria who had no voice was gone. In her place was someone stronger, someone who knew her truth and wasn't afraid to speak it. Sometimes the worst moments in our lives become turning points. My near-fatal allergic reaction had broken open a family system of denial and abuse, but it had also set me free. Now surrounded by people who believed and protected me, I was finally learning what real family support looked like. And my allergies, they were just part of who I was, not a weakness to hide or deny, but a reality to be respected and managed, just like I should have been all along.